Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for September 19th through 23rd, 2022. Wow, what a powerful weekend of astrology. One of the main things we've been feeling is the sun in opposition to Neptune. That was exact yesterday. And now the sun is moving into a trine with Pluto coming to the end degrees of Virgo, preparing to move over into Libra, which marks the equinox, the shift of seasons, the exact halfway mark through the zodiac. So, this sun opposite Neptune is very much connected to the other opposition we've been feeling, and this is Mercury opposite of Jupiter. Now, Mercury opposite Jupiter was is also exact today. And so we're having this very powerful vector-like portal energy created with these two oppositions. It's speaking to how close Jupiter in Aries, now in retrograde, is going to go back uh, into Virgo, and how close, excuse me, back into Pisces, and how close Jupiter and Neptune will be coming to each other. Um, so it's a very powerful connection being made here between the end of the zodiac and the beginning of the zodiac with Pisces and Aries and Virgo and Libra. Because the Virgo Libra cusp, this is where Mercury is taking his retrograde. So Mercury is now retrograde, having turned retrograde on the 10th. And Mercury is in this exact opposition with Jupiter in Aries at 4 degrees. Now, it's very powerful because for the equinox is when the sun moves over into Libra. And for this particular equinox, it's really intense energy because Mercury is retrograde in Libra, opposite of Jupiter, and then coming into uh, crossing over the path of the sun. Get this, 0 degrees Libra. Mercury going backwards, retrograding back into Virgo, and the sun moving, of course, always forward. So this is really powerful because Mercury retrograde is always about a rethinking, a reimagining, sorting through our perspective and our state of mind. In Libra, we're looking at relationships, but Mercury's going back into Virgo too. And this is our connection to the earth and our connection to our present day stability and cleaning up and sorting through, especially that Mercury opposite, um, excuse me, the sun opposite Neptune. That's our our sun is our identity, and Neptune is in Pisces is speaking to the energy of the Piscean age and old personality and identity constructs, old stories, old roles, old patterning, old programming that we are so used to, and we think it's who we are. We've identified ourselves with this fear and trauma programming. And it's the furthest thing from the truth. It's not who we are. So, all of this astrology is this perfect storm of awakening. And we're going to feel a very powerful energy leading up to this equinox that happens on Thursday, the 22nd, this coming Thursday. And I hope you'll consider joining a soul group session, supernova soul group session that is going to be at 4 p.m. Mountain Time in US Mountain Time. And the information to sign up for that event is in the information box below. The soul group session is an opportunity to do deeper work in the activations where we look at shared past life pictures. It's basically a group intuitive session. This gives us an opportunity to go into the Akashic records and find those pictures and images and information, healing, the clearing that can help us give us the information and the support we need in this current astrology. And it is powerful. The other thing that we've been feeling all weekend, still will feel through tomorrow, is intense Venus square Mars. This feeling of being at odds with ourself. It's like I'm almost seeing this picture of these two parts of um, identities, like this thing we're grappling with, our false self sense of self that everybody else expects us to be, all the roles we've played and the conditioning in our attachments, and then our true self that's trying to be born and bloom and incarnate. um, and these are at odds with each other. And it's kind of like our masculine and feminine is at odds with each other, getting really frustrated with the other. The feminine that can't get herself up to feel worthy, and the masculine who can't um, activate into that devoted protector and honor truth. And so this is just this incredible tension. And with it's one thing to have Venus Mars in a square, but Venus Mars square with Mercury retrograde in Libra, it says is telling us everything that this Mercury retrograde is about. And of course, relationships, but this dynamic that's coming forward. It's like looking at this relationship within ourself, our relationship to our false selves, our relationship to our true bigger self, our relationship to our masculine, our relationship to our feminine, our relationship of our masculine and feminine together. Because Mercury transiting retrograde and the sun forward at zero, crossing past at 0 degrees Libra, can only mean one thing. It's a perfect balance. So everything that's frustrating right now is what's out of balance. And as much as it's like, oh, everything feels really wonky, energies are so intense right now, and it's hard to get a grip and stay grounded. But we've got a lot of supportive astrology. And part of this is that now that the sun's come out of that opposition with Neptune, and that um, we're just feeling through tomorrow. We're just still feeling that influence a little bit. But now the sun is coming into a trine with Pluto. Very powerful, highlighting these end degrees of Virgo. A trine is super harmonious. And Virgo is about our relationship to who we are in our intuitive self, our healer self, and our relationship to the earth. Pluto and Capricorn is about the structures of our world and our life that and the dismantling. Pluto's the breaker downer, the wrecking ball, and the transformer. Pluto doesn't destroy what it only destroys what's no longer serving. But that's the energy, but it's harmonized. And it's kind of like, yeah, it's almost like cleaning up who we are in our identity as earth healers and our relationship to the earth, perhaps. Our relationship to our mission here, our relationship to our home, energies and our being ability to feel at home on the earth. And it's kind of like we can pick these apart. I'm seeing a deconstruction, right? We can still use some of the materials, right? The work, all the work you've done on yourself, it feels like in the work and we've done in the world with everything so strange and nothing working out, it just feels like it's all for nothing. It's this frustrating feeling, especially at Black Moon Little Square Chiron. Just brought up deep and profound feelings of failure and low self-worth and shame keeps us in those energies. But everything is supporting us in coming out of these energies and putting our life back together right now. Because this beautiful sun trine Pluto will be feeling this through the week. And as soon as that lets off, as the sun gets close to moving into Libra and the equinox on Thursday, of course, Mercury is coming back, and then Mercury will be in this trine with Pluto. And Mercury will stay in this trine with Pluto for 2 weeks because it's going to, the whole time it's retrograding back to 24 degrees. That's only 2 degrees away um, out of trine with Pluto in Capricorn. So for the next 2 weeks, because Pluto is retrograding over this area, we've got a beautiful, harmonized dismantling of structures of authority. So this is making the Mercury in Virgo about cleaning up our mind, like mind control and programming that's keeping us in shame and trauma. It's perfect, not easy, but if we can take advantage of these energies and these messages and the support right now, it's kind of like it's hard when you're so affected by the energies like the stuff we had this weekend. With these trines, you want to grab a hold of this energy and make it work for you. And so this next couple weeks about the themes, as soon as we go into the equinox energies, we've got that Sun Mercury conjunction. Like this might be like, whoa, the joining together of the false and the true self, the meeting of the minds. Be like, oh, this is how I can bridge my realities in my world. I can dismantle the structures that no longer work and build new ones and be open to new ways of co creating and building. Now, the other transit that's really helping with this is that Black Moon Lilith has now come out of that square with Chiron, but is in a sextile relationship with Uranus. Black Moon Lilith in Cancer, the deepest, darkest hidden places of our psyche around mother, nurturing, feeling loved and held and connected and safe and cared for. And our own compassionate. When we're in survival mode, we don't have energy to love and be compassionate and take care. And that's, where they all want us. It's just deeply disconnected from our true nature. But supernova souls, you carry this stronger than any other souls. Like you carry this truth of what humanity is. That as humanity evolves, it gets nicer, more compassionate, more empathic, more loving. And this is who we are. And we've been treated like dog shit this whole time. But now, like, the whole thing with Uranus and Taurus is a revolution of wealth. It's a revolution of our value system and a revolution around physical form. So it's about these embodiments of higher frequency vibrations and about our self worth for these higher vibrations, remembering and connecting back to a soul memory, like we did in the Pisces new moon activation, full moon activation. Um, to remembering on a soul level, a soul memory, that you have already experienced these higher states of consciousness. There's nothing scary or traumatic. It was all programming. So the Uranus and Taurus sextile to Black Moon Lilith is healing and harmonizing and fixing creative solutions for our disconnection to the earth and to the mother, the great mother principle, and to uh, and that keeps us feeling unworthy of our true potential. Now it's interesting because we talk a lot about this technology that we've had before, say our energetic field, our light body, our intuitive gifts. And Uranus really rules this because it's like our Uranus is like our higher wisdom that we haven't been able to access, our future self, ancient wisdom, things we've experienced in the past, and higher frequency vibrations and sudden and dramatic change. So Uranus rules is speaking about this technology, this true potential of the human. And then it's an interesting sextile relationship with Cancer and Black Moon Lilith in Cancer and the mother and our deservedness for that. And it's interesting because do you ever think about how, what a narrow range of experience and temperature and oxygen levels that humans, we have a very narrow, and our psychology really can't handle much either. Like we really have a narrow strip of survival, and we see amazing things in the animal world, in the plant world of survival, and that it's like they haven't lost that connection with the mother, which it seems like this, so part of so we're looking at this relationship between the higher technology that we can't quite remember we've already had, but it's being used to control us right now, so we've got to claim it back. And this connection to the mother. And so when we're talking about a connection to the mother, we're talking about that divine feminine and this feeling of a connection to source and being able to receive. Um, but if we look at the animals and like how do they survive these extremes of temperatures and things in all that they've survived through in these different climates, um what allows them to do that? And it's actually this technology, it's this light body, it's this electromagnetic field. And when our electromagnetic field, it's Mother Earth that shows us about this electromagnetic field. And then when we're in connection with her, in our electromagnetic field, we can create the environment we need around us. Um, Now, once we open up to these ideas, this may sound crazy at first, then the all of the control mechanisms that are have been used to control humanity kind of whoa, you know. Um, it's all the big lie is dependent upon our disconnection. Because when we feel connected, we feel safe, and it's really hard to control people who like aren't in fear. So, so just a very interesting connection here. This Uranus sextile Black Moon Lilith. This is where we get the gift of that intense square with Chiron, where we were like, I'm total dog shit. I've not done anything in my life. I'm like totally worthless. All these dark feelings that came up. It's like, oh, go. But it's like we had to go find them to free ourselves from them. That deep, dark work of Black Moon Lilith square Chiron is now giving us an opportunity with this sextile to uncover massive treasures. That's what we talked about, that underneath the shame programming, the fear programming, and the trauma programming, and the you're not good enough and you got to be redeemed or saved, all that crap, underneath that, Uranus and Taurus representing these treasures, our higher intuitive treasures, our gifts and skills that have been buried and hidden from us. And now we begin the journey. What a powerful message as we've gotten this image of this Mars retrograde coming up starting at the end of October. Mars already in retrograde shadow, but that Mars retrograde being a deep dive initiatory experience. Like you didn't believe or know any of this shit was true. And all of a sudden, you better get your shit together and be ready you know and it's like, so together supernova souls are being invited on this deep journey, and that really fits the energy of the intuitive training that starts September 29th. So check that out if you're interested in going deeper. This is the only option to work with me right now in person, and I would love to work with you on these intuitive skills. This isn't about learning to be intuitive, it's about learning how to access your intuitive skills and handle the power of your intuition. Find that permission within yourself to fully flourish into these abilities. So, um, we want to focus on the positive transits, this Mercury trine Pluto, dismantling the structures of programming and mind control, dismantling structures of authority in our life, in our world, breaking contractual arrangements, all of this on the table for this supernova soul group session for the equinox. So powerful, this Mercury retrograde crossing over the sun, and they're taking turns in exact opposition to Jupiter, right? So Mercury is opposite Jupiter right now, and then the sun, Mercury is going to go back into Virgo, trining with Pluto. They're going to take turns, and then the sun will come into that opposition with Jupiter. Now that will happen exact on the 27th. And so that energy leading up, so what we have is this equinox energy, Sun Mercury conjunction. Whoa, something just finally connected and made sense, you know? And yet we're still on a retrograde journey trying to find that perfect balance. It's like kind of like, all right, I'm kind of surrendering to the fact that things are never going to go back to normal. And I don't know, I can't see what's coming and I can't do it, but it's probably gonna be way different than I can even imagine, perhaps. This is our process we're going through in these times, and so the astrology is exactly speaking to this, and, very much highlighted. Now the sun opposite of Jupiter will happen at 3 degrees Libra. And right after that equinox, we got that very powerful equinox energy. 3 days later, on the 25th, we've got the new moon in Libra. So for the new moon in Libra, Mercury, the sun will be joining. Excuse me, the moon will be joining the sun Mercury conjunction, opposing Jupiter. because Jupiter's going to be at 3 degrees or 4 degrees, 3, 4, and the sun at that, that equinox point, the new moon, the equinox point, of course, 0 degrees Libra, perfect balance. And then that, how powerful to have a Libra new moon 3 days later, which is at 2 degrees 49 minutes, 3 degrees Libra coming into that just opposite of, Mercury in there in the mix and just opposite of Jupiter in Aries. So we're looking at a new start for our relationships based on really what Jupiter in Aries wants is life, living, independence, freedom. No more half-ass making it okay for everybody all the time. And it's a very tense, so if you are that supernova soul that's been super codependent and, it's kind of like the more talented you are, the more skilled you are, the more traumatized you are, the more codependent you are, the more difficult your childhood, all this. Anyway, so if you are that, it's a very tense time of facing the programming, the Mercury reprogramming around where you have been living everybody else's agenda, and to the point where you don't know who you are. It kind of makes me think of like empty nest, a family grows to, mostly the mother typically having this experience of, literally joining bodies with this being. This being grows up and goes off. And then it's kind of like, who am I? This is what's going on. We're having an identity crisis, an empty nest. Because we're losing all the false parts of ourselves and all the things that we put first. Codependency means you're putting other needs, people's needs first before your own. And that's beautiful on some level. Of course, that's what we came here to do and who we are. But we have been neglecting our own soul spiritual purpose, and that can't go on. And the pressure around this is so intense. Especially now that Jupiter is going to be dipping back into Pisces. Now, Jupiter will go back into Pisces. Jupiter's already retrograde, and Jupiter will go back into Pisces at the end of October. And so that's the second time over that Aries point. And it's kind of like, ooh, we got to go back into the Piscean age because we left something there, our heart and our home, and a feeling of being safe and accepted and supported as a light worker in this experience. The mystical, magical revelation that established the energy of the Piscean age. We got to go back and get it. But we also have to go back through the rubble, of that Piscean age and the deep traumas. Huge opportunity right now, recognizing that trauma programming is the only thing the dark side has left. So it's like, how do you clear that? Like triggering the trauma program, got to totally heal the trauma. And it's like, how can you even approach these places that are so painful and so raw? And that was definitely what that Black Moon Lilith Square Chiron was about. And now we get to clean it up. We've got the sun at the end degrees of Virgo, Mercury taking the place at the end degrees Virgo, Venus still in Virgo. And so we're having an opportunity to get our life in order because we've got a lot of earth trines. We've got that Mercury trine, or the sun trine Pluto, and then Mercury trine Pluto, and really powerful opportunity to be like, all right, you might have some clarity coming in. Still, you're lost, and you're in a huge process of awakening and harmonizing and trying to figure out up from down every moment as we move through this crazy ascension experience. But we're having an opportunity to come into this perfect balance between our masculine and our feminine, between our lower and higher self. And it's almost this thing of what I was saying, this like we can tell there's big changes coming, and we can tell that we don't know where we are, and we're starting to understand that that's okay. But we're also starting to get direction. So it's like this Mercury retrogrades and retrograde season in general seems to be about being okay with being in that in-between place, knowing that you're in a powerful place of preparation and initiation, reinitiation, remembering who you really are, and like to kind of find peace and that balance between the old self and your new self, and being easy with yourself and compassionate through these big changes and what you're asking yourself to do, you know, and between your future life that hasn't quite landed and the one that's not working anymore, and just kind of be at the 0 point, you know. 0 degrees Aries, so powerful. It's like a reinitiation of the Christ consciousness timeline. Jupiter will cross over that point for the third and final time as it moves into Aries on December 21st. We won't really feel this umph movement until Mars comes out of retrograde in January, and then they both come out of retrograde shadow in the spring. But I don't know. I can feel supernova souls ready to get their marching orders and get to work on what they came here to do, whatever it is that's the next step of this initiation process in order to be ready for this big leap that's coming. And what a perfect, beautiful energy here, an opportunity and an invitation to be in perfect balance at that 0 point. So I would love to share that energy with you for this equinox. And I'll also be doing an activation, a new moon activation. Sunday, the 25th is the new moon activation because we really want to be super aware of these energies. Now, I forgot to get back to this interesting thing where we've got Mercury opposite Jupiter, the sun and Mercury changing places, and then we've got um, um, that the moon and the sun coming together for the new moon, and then the sun comes into its opposition with Jupiter on the 27th. So you've got that 22nd, 25th, 27th. And so kind of a very powerful week ahead, a big opportunity for those shifts and changes to sort of just get sorted out, sort out your life, and be okay with the moving and changing process, being at peace in the balance and the harmony and the connection. You know, when you really look at astrology like this and the way it lines up, it's like, whoa, this isn't a coincidence. And when we listen and we can be present and be like, okay, yeah, what does that mean? A perfect balance? Because I just supernova souls in general seems like feeling way out of balance on all levels over these last years, of our situation, our energetic reality, not at all supporting. It's like we've got this war of vibrations and energies. But we're getting to the point where everything that is happening now can only support spiritual ascension because we're in the end gate. So maybe that is our message of like surrendering and receiving the reprogramming and allowing ourselves to go deep into this initiation experience, to forgive ourselves and release the past so that we can receive our future. We're at this crossroads, and it's frustrating when you can't see what's coming and you don't know where you're going, but we know there's big changes, so why not be at 0 point together in this perfect balance for this equinox energies? So I hope you'll consider joining that Equinox Soul Group session. That's going to be this Thursday, 22nd, at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. And the information to sign, like I said, is in the information box below. So I look forward to seeing you then. Keep an eye out for this Libra new moon activation, as we have this brand new, fresh start for love and balance, peace and harmony. This is what the earth is all about. The intense duality of earth is about coming back into balance. And that's the point we're at. And supernova cells, if we're leading the way, that means we go there first. Doesn't mean we have to. It means we get to be in balance and peace and harmony. And that is our role here. So claim it and own it, and let's do it together. So thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a beautiful equinox. And hopefully I'll see you at that soul group session or the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.